I've never been accused of being just a talker because I know people, you understand? And I know serious people. And I have told several people who've watched my podcast, who I've bumped into down the road, that if you're ever in any type of trouble on your property or whatever, and you need basically the A team to come in and take care of those cryptids, I know somebody. And this is the somebody that I know. My man Drewski from the Cryptid Warfare podcast down in Tennessee. Drew, welcome to the show, buddy. We've been talking back and forth for a while trying to get you on here, man. Introduce yourself. Tell my Enigma it's all about you, bro.
Hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you. First of all, I just want to say Happy Patriots Day, guys. Everyone goes and talks about 9/11, so repping it from a law enforcement guy to a veteran. Just want to say thank you for your service, man.
You too, brother. Yep.
Okay, so done with that. Anyways, yeah, guys, how you doing, guys? My name is Drewski. I'm the host of Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies podcast. And other than that, with the podcast and everything, also got a little side biz going on, like old Joe was talking about. If you guys got any updates on your property or anything's cheesy going on when it comes to cryptids or anything, just go ahead and just give me a holler. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Also, you can write me an email at cryptidwarfare@gmail.com if you have any, if you guys got any stories or anything like that. But when it comes to cryptids that are disturbing you and your property or animals or anything like that, I got a team that we can go investigate, go research, and if we need to take care of it, we can take care of it. You guys can write me an email at c.wops@protonmail.com and then c.woperations17905@gmail.com.
And I'll have all that information in the description of the video as well if you want to get down there. My man's being pretty humble right here. I don't know if you ever remember that old school story back in the day of the A team, right? But these are the guys. If you can find them and you have a problem, Drewski and his boys will come out there and take care of your cryptid issues on your property. Also, I follow Drewski on the Instagram channel, all the platforms really. Go to my any of my platforms, click on my follows, and his name will be towards the top there as well. Bro, I'm happy to have you on the channel, man. Finally to get you on the show, man. I know you're out there busy, I don't know, kicking barn doors, I guess, running off Dogmans and Pugwudgies and Bigfoot and stuff like that, man. So yeah. But anyways, to hype Drewski up a little bit, he's not joking about having a team. It's him and it's got to be what? Seven guys, right?
Seven guys.
Seven guys.
We actually just added another one on the team.
So Drewski, we were just talking. Drewski has air support. His brother is a pilot. He has an IT guy. You have a drone guy. You have a couple door kickers. You have basically a full-on fire squad out there to get stuff done. And so I met Drewski, man, so early when I started on this podcasting journey that I had gone on to when I was creating the channel. Drew was one of the very first people that I followed on Instagram. My algorithm picked up and we hit it off pretty quick, man, just going back and forth talking. But Drew has a great operation. And if you do need to get a hold of him, reach him out. I've recommended his name to several people that were in the Northeast above Virginia and the Pennsylvania area as well. And he will be able to get out there and help you out. But that's just his 9 to 5 stuff. When Drewski and the boys, well, you got what's your team name again? You call them what do you call those guys?
Oh, CW operations. CW operators.
Yeah, when the CW operators aren't out basically handling the problems that need to be handled, he's just casually making podcast appearances, casually running his own podcast, casually starting his 4th business, right? Casually, working on everything out there. So Drew, I'm convinced you don't really sleep, do you?
Maybe about 4 to 5 hours latest. Yeah. I'm always on the roll. Plus, having a family and all that. Yeah. It's just
I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot about that. Family, man. And when you say you only sleep about 4 hours, I believe it, because the messages I seem to get from you happen around 4:11 a.m. So I don't know if that's when you roll it. That seems to be the 4 a.m. to 4:30 is when I can expect to get messages from you. Man, That's amazing, bro. All right, so cook. All right, let's throw the softball questions that people always get on me. Sometimes I try to jump right into the meat without getting into it. So Drew, tell us, man, what got you into the cryptid, man, and tell us how it evolved. I mean, literally into a cryptid hunting team and a podcast, man. So tell us about that journey, brother.
Okay, so basically, it all started with me when I was young. I was a big avid monster alien fan. I loved the Predator. I loved
Great movie.
aliens, all that stuff, man. So I was a big proponent when it came to monsters. And then when I found out about Bigfoot at an early age, I was like, ain't no way there's actually real monsters out there. But anyway, so yeah, so I was very interested in that. And then as I got older, my dad, he taught me like a lot of survival skills. My dad's basically like a mountain man. This is when I was living out in Colorado at the time. So whenever he picked me up, he taught me how to prep like my backpacks, live off the land, stuff like that. So whenever he picked me up on a Friday, he just called my mom and tell him, she telling me, hey, your dad said have your bag packed, be ready to go. So he picked me up and I just grabbed my backpack and we go and we head out to the Rocky Mountains and then we basically just hike in. And then that's actually how I started out at an early age, probably at like 13. So doing that. And then I did that all the way till I was out of high school. And then after that, I moved out of my house. Me and my wife got married. I jumped into law enforcement. So that just totally took my trajectory off of like the whole cryptid and monster, basically just diving into everything on that. I kind of postponed it in a way, right? Because I was basically just involved in my career at the time. So when it started to ramp up again, I was about a good 4 to 5 years in like my law enforcement career. I was a part of a SWAT team or like a tactical team, right? So it was actually a SORT team. It stood for Special Operations Response Team, right? SORT is what it was. So we would actually go after high value targets in the state of Colorado, basically like ex-gang members, like high quality guys, Mexican mafia, stuff like that. And then we would also basically track guys. We would actually help like escape teams in Colorado go basically help like escape convicts, guys who are wanted, stuff like that. So when we were in the mountains of Colorado, we actually had an inmate escape from a certain facility at a prison. So they called every alphabet agency, all these different TAC teams, and I was a part of this TAC team. One of them, they were out there with all these trackers trying to find this guy in the mountains of Colorado. So they dropped us off. They dropped a bunch of other teams off in this region of Colorado in the mountains to where they knew where this inmate was at. So we were basically acting as a gun team for these trackers. So as they were walking up the mountains, we were in like a diamond formation with these guys and we're having our nods on, kit, all that stuff. And as we're tracking up this mountain, we were basically pinching this guy in. So we had us going up this slope, this other TAC team going up this slope, and vice versa on the other side. And we're just pinching this guy in. So the dogs are going crazy. They were catching the scent. We were walking up the mountain. And as we're going, kind of getting like dusk, right? So as we're walking up this mountain, I'm hearing something way off to my left, about a good 100 yards out.
Right. Right.
Walking with us.
Right.
And then one of the guys on my TAC team on the right side hearing something too. I'm thinking it's another team. Well, it wasn't. So our squad leader goes, hey, I need you guys to stop on 3. 1, 2, 3, stop. So when we stop, I heard 2 extra footsteps on my left side. Boom, boom. Then my partner on the right side heard 2 extra footsteps too. So we're calling in up to air control and we're like, hey, what the hell's down here? Yeah. We feel like something's walking with us. It's not walking on 4 legs. Right. We're hearing something bipedal walk.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we're not really picking up anything.
Bro, you're making my hair stand up, man.
So So, but the guy who was the tracker, who was a part of the escape team, good old mountain boy, right? Turns around and he's like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Let's just keep pushing." Okay. So I got my M4 pushed out that way, along with the other guys. They're pushing out that way. So we're basically just covering our own zones as we're walking up this mountain. And I'm just hearing it, man. And I'm like, I'm getting this bad feeling. Like, this is scary. This is freaky, man. Right. So as we're going, we finally get the guy. He's freaking out because he's hearing noises out there too. And he's like, "There's something on this mountain. You guys got to get me off of here." We're like, "Yeah, cool, whatever. We got you, buddy." So we called in like, "Hey, we got this 1095. We're walking back down to the LZ. We're going." All right, cool. We're going down. We hand this guy over to the marshals. We actually write our reports. My captain comes in. He's like, "Hey, I know how you guys write your reports. Who, what, when, why, how, and where," right? He goes, "I need you guys to leave this certain section off," which is the things that we were hearing. And we're like, "What?" He's like, "Just do it."
Right.
Roger that.
Right, yeah, sure.
Done. So that was weird. So I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." So what really opened up my head about that, so I just started just to like, I don't know, something was up with that. So like 2 weeks later, one of the guys on my team, I'm not going to say his name because he's still in it, but we were actually talking about it. He's like, "Hey, man, do you believe in Bigfoot?" I kind of looked around, like, make sure no one was listening. Right. I was like, "Yeah, I do, man." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "I've been going down this rabbit hole. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we were hearing, man. Heavy footsteps, bipedal, couldn't really see what the heck it was, you know." He's like, "But I can smell it." He's like, "Did you smell anything?" I was like, "I couldn't smell anything, dude." He's like, "I was smelling something on my side." I was like, "Okay, so what it smelled like?" He's like, "It smelled like sulfur, runny eggs, and like a dumpster." He goes, "That's what it smelled like." I was like, "Huh." I go, "I didn't smell anything, man." He's like, "Well, I did." I'm like, "Okay." So then I dove down that rabbit hole, right? On skunk apes, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and all that. Yeah. And all that stuff was kind of, all those breadcrumbs were leading up to that. I'm like, okay, it's very interesting. So then how I got into the conspiracy part of it, right? Cryptid warfare and conspiracy part of it. Right. Well, a year later, in 2012, yes, 2012, I was a part of I went from doing SWAT and SORT, jumped over for doing more like protective custody. It was more like executive protection, right? Mm-hmm. So I was on a team that was basically like babysitting, like hired babysitters, right? So we took this individual to the Denver International Airport to meet the governor of Colorado. Well, we went underneath the airport, pass him off to go to this meeting. So basically, we went under there, met some MPs that were at this door. They told us to stop. We exchanged the executive over to the governor. They went through these double doors, took a right, and went to go wherever they needed to go. So we just stood there, just waiting for like 2 hours, right? Well, these double doors were opening. I'm just kind of peeking my head in there and looking around. I saw a train, like not a train, but kind of like a railway, right? Yeah. And then on the other side of that, I see all these crates and boxes and stuff and hallways and stuff like that and beams and all that. Well, all of us were just kind of like shooting the crap basically with these Air Force MPs. And I was like, "Hey, man, so when the heck did they add this on?" I was like, "Oh, dude, this has been here forever, man. You know, this is actually how we transport stuff without the public knowing." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I've kind of figured, you know." Yeah. You know, probably goes from here to NORAD, right? He's like, "Dude, it's spider webs everywhere." So I was like, "What the freak is that about?" So it just totally opened up my mind on that rabbit hole. So next thing I know, our executive comes through. He's pissed off for some reason. He's like, "Let's go." So we get in the vehicles. We go back to Colorado Springs, drop him off, right? Basically, write our reports for the day, then go home. Well, one of my buddies, he was in the DOD at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's Department of Defense for anybody who don't know that. He sent me an old school, like 2006, 2007 blueprint of all the tunnels underneath the United States. And I will send you that.
No, I've seen it.
After this. Okay, yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Like, so real quick. So was it the Denver International Airport?
Yep, Denver International Airport.
So like I did a podcast on that as well, just to add this cliff note to you for people who you can go look it up on the channel, obviously. I am 100% convinced that was the first failed attempt of the implementation of the New World Order that was spoken about when George Bush Sr. did this speech. I want to say it was in
I remember that.
91.
Mm-hmm.
But it failed. They failed. Something happened, right? They failed. But that was going to, so somebody reached out to me and said that there is a train that goes from DC to that airport in like 4 minutes. Like it's some crazy, like
a bullet train or something.
Floating, levitating bullet train that does Mach 2 is what he was saying, man.
That's insane, dude.
So, and I was like, yeah, I believe it, man. I mean, there's all kinds of like,
oh yeah,
fiduciary that goes on with that airport. I mean, like, so I mean, like I said, I don't want to sidetrack you on it, but just secret societies speak in symbolism, right? Because they have to, right? Because they believe in something that's completely. If you ever want to know why secret societies are stupid, I'll tell you why they're stupid, right? And how they fail, right? Is they believe in what they call karmatic retribution, where as long as they tell you what they're going to do, they won't be punished for it because they believe in the karmatic cycle of reincarnation, which is, that's why they hate Jesus so bad, by the way, right? Because it doesn't work. It's not even close to working that way. So they have to tell you in their minds, right? In their minds, they have to tell you what they're going to do, right? As if that would save them from judgment. And so the Denver International Airport is just littered. It is littered
covered with that stuff.
It is littered with it, man. Gargoyles and Samsung suitcases, which is an anagram for Masons. Samsung backwards is Masons. There's Freemason symbols all over the place. There's a pale horse.
Lucifer.
Lucifer. That horse is ridiculous. So yeah, man. So, but it didn't work. It didn't work. It wasn't the time. No one knows the time. No one knows the time but the Father. The time of the date but the Father. But it didn't work, right? But that was, I'm a firm believer that was going to be a major whatever in the event that went down on. And there's also rumors of Nephilim living underneath it, right? So I don't know if you saw this went viral about 2 or 3 days ago. This will post out in about a week. You see that 20-foot?
In Colorado.
Nephilim climbing that rock, right? That looks like
in Colorado.
So there's things in those mountains out there. Y'all go ahead, Drew. So, man, like I said, man, I can't. I'm a sidetracker, bro. We just pulled.
Oh, you good, man. You good, man.
Right.
Well, but actually piggybacking off of that, because on that map he showed me this, it had a straight shot tunnel that led all the way out to DC. Mm-hmm. Then it had the spider web with all these other tunnels led out to the Dulce base, Area 51, Utah, California, Washington, all that, man. And I was just like, what the freak, dude? Yeah. So I took a screenshot of that and kept it on my phone. But anyways, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So that's what kind of started me on the whole rabbit hole trail with that, on the conspiracies. And anyways, so I'll just jump back to the cryptids again. So after that, I quit my law enforcement career in 2014, and then I moved from Colorado here to Tennessee. And basically at the time, my wife was here before I was, so then she came back, and then her and I moved together with the family back over here to Tennessee. So at that time, she was actually going to this church where we're actually still at now. I didn't know this, but she was basically talking to some guys about me before I even got there. So basically on that first weekend, when I moved there, I was like, okay, Lord, I don't know what the heck you want me to do. I'm just going to dive in head first in this church. I'm going to volunteer, do whatever I can. So whatever doors open, I'm just going to go in head first. So, let's do this. So when I got there, this random guy came up to me. Turns out he was the head of the security team at the time. His name was Cameron. Cameron, love you, buddy. He's like, hey man, your wife told me about your background. I can use a guy like you. Get on the security team. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do it. So as him and I were working together every Sunday for about a year, I noticed he was wearing like little like Bigfoot stuff, like based on like a wristband or like a pin here or a hat or whatnot. This hat. He said, instead of working, I'd rather be squatching or whatever. I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, And then we were at some I think we were at like a Halloween party or something just before that. But anyways, him and I were at a Halloween party with the kids and whatnot. And he's like, hey man, random question. He's like, wife told me you were into cryptids, man. What's that about? And I was like, oh, cool. I can actually talk to somebody about this.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Yeah. So I just came unglued, started telling him about like my experiences, and he was telling me about his experiences, whatnot. And he's like, hey, cool, man. He's like, hey, I actually have a sponsored Bigfoot hunt. He's like, I can use a guy like you to make sure we don't die.
Yeah.
if you can get 2 other guys to go with you, that basically that like no weapons, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, 100%. Yeah. So this is actually where I met my buddy Zook, and then one of the guys I was actually in law enforcement with, like my buddy Brian, he was there too. So that's actually how the whole cryptid team started to roll. Started to like have like a snowball effect. I didn't know that yet, but it did. Mm-hmm. So when we had our sponsored Bigfoot hunt in Kentucky, we went to Mammoth Cave National Park, and this was in 2015. So in a nutshell, when we went there, we had to take like this ferry across with our vehicles, and then it shut down at 7 p.m. and then it wouldn't open up to like 7 a.m. at night. So we basically had like a 12-hour gap, and we were like on our own.
Yeah.
So we're out there squatching, looking around, stuff like that. So this guy Cameron knew his stuff, man. He knew how to bait these things in, set up trail cams, So I kind of learned different tactics from this guy on how to deal with certain cryptids. And then I said, this is how I figured out that there were, because to me, I thought all Sasquatches were all the same, right? Yeah. Negative. They're not. There's different races, different types, all that stuff, They're just like us, Yeah. Height, whatever, all that stuff. So he was teaching me on that and whatnot. And then, so that was fun. So that's actually where I learned a lot. And then as the years gone by, from like 2015 all the way till now, every year I was actually like vetting guys, who love camping, ex-military, ex-law enforcement, who know how to do bushcraft, whatnot. So I would actually take them camping to see how they are. And you know how it is. Either you work with someone or you go camping with somebody. That's how you really get to know a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I said, vetting guys, right? Or you take them out shooting, go through a shooting course or whatnot, So that's actually how I started to pick up guys for my team. But of course, as you go through that, of course, you have some bad apples. So I've had that during the whole course of the career, years of doing this. So I've had a couple guys that we had to axe, but other than that, God's definitely provided me a good a group of dudes.
Yeah. So you and I, we like to laugh, but it's like, dear God, I'm here. Use me however you want. All right, son, I need you to take care of these Dogman. What? I was thinking like help pass out food or cut the grass or, do something. No. Pack your stuff, go to Kentucky, man. We got a Dogman problem up there I need you to take care of. Yeah. So you won the lottery on that, man. Nah, bro, that's pretty awesome, man. And it's funny too, because no chill, man. You went from the Colorado Rockies down to the Appalachian Mountains. So you just went from one to the other where the wild things are at, man. No, that's great, bro. Yeah, that's great. They could probably use you in Aurora right now. I'm surprised they hadn't tried to call you to come back.
I'll never go back to Colorado, man. So, yeah. I'll go back and visit, but I'll never live there again.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing right there I was going into. So yeah, that's awesome, dude. That really is, man. Like, yeah, man. Like ever since, you've been in it, man. And then like you've had that one experience that just led to another experience. You and I have talked about, you and I, like we could fill 3 podcasts talking about the stuff that you and I have sent information back and forth going with it. That's great, bro. That's really awesome. So you got a 7-man team, of course, man. Yeah, you know you got to weed them out along the ways, but like I was talking. Chuck Larson and I were talking on a previous show. The best way to find out, everybody, man, everybody wants to be a Navy SEAL, right? Or some kind of like tier 1 operator until you have to go in the woods at night and it's dark. You understand? So like
Yep.
you figure out
Oh yeah.
you figure out real quick who's pretending and like who's actually built for it, because the woods at night, especially the Appalachian woods. I've never stepped foot in Colorado or Denver. I've never had any experience with the Rockies, but I know the Appalachians very, very well.
You know, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, okay, compared to the Rocky Mountains, the Appalachians, dude, something about the Appalachians, man, I just can't put my hand on it, dude. To me, it's just more because it's older.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something about it, man.
No.
That's just like, okay, this is okay. I got to be on my A game over here. There's no,
Yeah, bro.
I don't know. Just you've got to be. Just something about it is like
No,
there's something really eerie about this place,
so
man.
check this out, Drew. They're about to there are peer-reviewed papers going around right now. If you ever watch his show or my show, you don't know about the Appalachian. The Appalachian Mountain is a mountain range that runs from Canada all the way down to Georgia. 3 weeks ago, they just found tunnels, cave tunnels, from Georgia that run into Alabama. I actually think they probably go down to Louisiana myself. But there are peer-reviewed papers going on right now that they're about to declare, probably next year. The Appalachian Mountain Range is the oldest mountain range on the entire planet. That when the Earth, I don't know if I've ever told you this or not, but so when the continents were one, it was a landmass called Pangea. And
Mm-hmm.
when it split, the Appalachian Mountains were already there. These mountains, man. And if you go from the very tippy top into Canada and you listen to the First Nations stories and you go all the way down, the Cherokee Indians were where we were, well, you know, where you were. I don't want to give you a location, but where I grew up and where you go down and then you go down right into to the tip of Georgia. There's another, I was just talking about the other day. I can't draw the name of it, but there's another national forest down there as well. There is so much old stuff that goes on in there. The people when I was growing up, the older generation, they would tell me and my cousins and stuff like that when we would go up to play, like, yo, there's old hate in those woods. Y'all be careful up there. There's the old hate is what they would call them, man, old stuff. There is, it's also too, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Drew, but like I've been walking around, and if you get off the path, it's not uncommon you just find a grave. Like there's just a tombstone right there. There's
Yes.
just a tombstone
Yeah.
there, right? And like that somebody, a mountain man along the way, Civil War, before that or whatever. That's
Yep.
where he died, and that's where he buried him, and they put like a little stone there or whatever. The
Yep.
writings off of it or whatever. So yeah, man, there is all kinds of nastiness
Yep.
or feeling that goes on there, man. It has the best way you describe it, man. There's a vibe to that place, man.
Yeah.
Is for lack of a better word, man. An energy that goes on into it, man. So yeah, no doubt, man. When I go in there, I'm the same way. I was in Shenandoah 2 weeks ago, and I was in there, and we were going up this trail, and I saw this guy carrying this girl down this trail, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this was labeled, so this wasn't even like I wasn't out on my own, but it was a hard trail, right? It was hard. It was labeled, if you get the maps when you go into these national forests, they'll tell you, you know, easy, hard, medium, right? He was on a hard trail.
Mm-hmm.
He was carrying this girl down. I'm like, y'all ain't making it, right? So we just went up, went to the very top, came back down. They were sitting there, and about that time, 4 or 5 park rangers were walking up with a gurney to carry this guy down. Like, and I was thinking, like, I didn't say anything except, hey man, I hope everything will good. You need any help? They're like, no, we got it, man, we got it. But if you're not, you need to ease into that lifestyle, right? So you don't, I don't just think that, hey, I'm going to go hike the Appalachian Trail for funsies, right? Or hey, you know what? I'm going to go spend the night. They have campgrounds, but what blows people's mind the most when I tell them about that trail, you can actually hike that trail. I think from New York all the way down to Georgia, right? You can hike the
Mm-hmm.
trail. they'll just drift off the trail and pitch a tent or a hammock, and they'll just go to sleep. They'll just sleep there. Like if you're walking that trail or whatever at night and it starts getting towards dusk, don't be surprised if you just see some people about 100 off just setting up camp for the night. That's not a campground. Like they're just in the woods, right? Sleeping. So yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. Amazing, dude. So yeah, man. Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, what was funny is you were talking about graveyards, finding random, cemetery stones and whatnot. We just went on an investigation because, of course, I haven't missed some people there, but it was in Alabama, like the recent one we just went on with Jessica Jones, Cryptid Huntress.
Great channel.
One of my one of my operators, Brian, him and his dad and his nephew, they went out to this place in Alabama last year, and they had like 2 like Dogman encounters out there. It was actually really, really, really freaky, man. Like his dad, fought in the war and all that. And he's like, you know what, Andrew? I haven't told anybody this. He's like, but I would rather be in gunfights, and stuff like that. But I've never felt a primal fear like that before in my life. Yeah. And this dude, straight up, he's straight up, like, no BS, no nothing. He tells you how it is. And that's what he said. He's like, dude, I've never been so afraid before in my life. I just felt the primal fear and evil of these things, man. And these things were circling us, man. And all we had were just our pistols, and we were just back to back the whole night. We're just praying the whole time. And next thing you know, the sun came up and they were gone. So my buddy Brian texted me that, and I'm like, cool, let's get the team. Let's go check it out, So we went, and this area we went to, it was federal property, so certain things we shouldn't have brought, but we did because I'd rather worry about it later, than be carried off by 6, anyways, or not be, or not found. But anyways, so we went there. We drove the trucks in. We hiked about a good 6 to 8 miles in, right?
Woo.
And so of course, we had all our gear and all that, and we went in, and then as we were going in there, I say probably like the 5th mile, we hiked in on the trail about a good 2 miles, and then we went off the beaten path about a good 5 miles.
Yeah.
Went out deep, right?
Yeah.
Well, we ran into this massive, I wouldn't say massive, but it was like a good size cemetery out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like the stones were falling over. Like it was actually beautiful. And like, what the freak is this? So we actually pinned it and marked it. And I say all together it was probably like 23 like gravestones.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And so, man, when I tell people that, man, and like, if you're easily spooked, and so growing up in those areas and getting any time in the woods, what you just said in there is actually, I tell people this a lot, man. Hiking the white trail at the park, that's not the woods, right? Mm-hmm. That's not it, man. What you just did, you go in a mile, and then hey, guys, that way, 5. Now you're in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in there. I stood at the top. My last little video I did when I was at the park. Got so high up there, I got winded, man. I was a little bit gassed. As far as the eye could see, man, all I could see was just trees. All I could see, man. And it was easily, I don't know, 30 miles, had to be at least 30 miles. Not a house in sight, right? That's the woods. Going down there, coming through it, that's when you get into it. And then something about those Appalachian mountains, man, is that when you're going through the woods, you're going to come on something like that. You're going to run up on like a cave that's like out of nowhere, or you're going to come out. Or I was talking to some people. That Tennessee mountain range that runs that border between, I've never gotten down too far towards the Georgia end, but I'm very familiar with that North Carolina, Western North Carolina, East Tennessee border. There's wild people in there. I'm 100% convinced of it, man. There's feral people in there. There's people in there that go out there and they'll spend a week just farming ginseng. And I had to explain to people what that is, man. These people are, and like if you roll on this, and I guarantee you there's moonshiners still going on in there, man. There's all kinds of
100%.
Yeah, there's all kinds of so if the people, not only are you having to deal with those people, and they will see your campfire. So like they will see you, right? Cold camping is no fun, right? Especially in the Smoky Mountains, right? It's no fun. So they will see you and they will creep their way over there just to see what you are doing, right? And they'll, hang out and just sit there and listen. And so not only on top of that, I just did something. I'm working on a project right now for the channel that I'm actually adding a new form of content to it, where just go and look at the Tennessee Wildman. There is a Eastern Tennessee cryptid that's totally specific to that area. It's called the Tennessee Wildman, which is basically a 5 to 6 foot mean, high Bigfoot like freaking creature, but it is mean. It will kill
It's aggressive.
It will kill and eat your dogs, and it will steal women if it gets a chance on. This thing is known to try to take women, right? So, yeah, man, those areas in there, man, they're not for the weak. Especially I when I talk to people from Maryland, it's like, hey, look, I'm thinking about moving down to the south, and I'm like, oh, are you now? So where are you from? Oh, I'm from Bethesda. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we're about to buy.
Joe's like, let me educate you on some stuff before you go.
Yeah, we're gonna buy 20 acres. I can't believe we're getting it so cheap. And I'm like, let me tell you why you're probably getting it. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
There's a reason why you're getting that so cheap, man. So yeah, man, like it's a whole nother animal, man. So yeah, Drew. So bro, give me, man. So yeah, so that's what got you into it, man. Come on, man. Give me a good story, man. I know you got some time in the bush, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'll talk about the Skinwalker cave after this one. So this is 2018. Yeah, 2018. So this is before the whole COVID hit or the jab and all that stuff. I had about like a good 4 to 5 guys on my Cryptid team already, and one of the guys, Paul. God bless you, Paul. Love you. He was in charge of like collecting intel, right? So he was on Facebook forums, he was on Reddit, all this stuff. So he's just gathering up intel, basically on like the local areas in Tennessee, right? If there's any like missing people, anything like that. So he's just chatting with people, right? Just collecting intel, doing all that stuff. So he's like, hey, we actually got a hit. There's this lady that reached out to us in Mountain City, Tennessee.
Oh, I know, right?
There's a lot. Yeah. So he's like, there's been a lot of people missing. There's been animals getting ripped apart, stuff like that. And so this lady's property backs up right there into the mountains, and behind her house are nothing but like logging trails and stuff. And she's been saying that there's like a lot of homeless, camping out there, and then they're just dying. They're just taking whatever's out there, just taking them. And we looked up like the police reports and stuff. They're leading those to animal attacks, right? So we're like, oh, cool. This is actually a good lead. So he contacted her, and so ever since then, I will never, ever, ever. I'm begging you, people, don't ever go without a team less than 4 or 5. So I went with the team of 3. So it's because certain guys couldn't get off at that time, or they had other obligations. So I understand that. So we're like, hey, me, T, and Paul are going to go do some recon and going to go check it out, talk to the lady, talk to some people, and then we're going to go to this area, camp out for a night, and come back, and we'll let you guys know if it's a hot spot or not, and then we'll go back in the next couple of weeks and do like a in-depth full weekend research thing. So, okay, cool. So those guys couldn't go. We went up there, 3 of us. We met the lady. We actually talked to a couple locals. We actually went downtown to the visiting center, talked to one of the ladies that were there too. So she pointed us in the right direction. We met the other lady. She pointed us in the right direction where all those logging roads and stuff are at. So we drove the truck up as far as we can go. So we're out there. We drove the truck on about a good 2 hours. We parked it. Then we hiked down about a mile away from that.
Yeah.
So at this time, though, my buddy T, Redbeard guy I was talking about, he was a total skeptic, dude. He just like bushcraft, he like camping, guns, He was into like long range shooting, stuff like that. So I didn't tell him what we were doing. I just told him, hey man, we're gonna go camping, we're gonna go check out this spot, just see what's out there. And he's like, all right, cool, whatever. So as soon as we're out there and we started setting up, we hiked in, started setting up camp, and he's like, are we out here for a different reason, man? I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And he's like, gosh, all right, whatever. Bigfoot, whatever. So anyway, so I have like this routine I do all the time. Wherever we set up base camp or like a command center, whatever, I always set up a 50-yard perimeter around it, tripwire perimeter all the time. That way, if something trips it, it gives us it gives us intel, and it gives us ahead of time, like, hey, something's coming our way. That way we're good and ready. That way we're not caught with our pants down. So I did that. I set up this perimeter, basically put up our tents, and then we just started cooking. And it was pushing about I think it was about like 9 o'clock at night. Finally, when we actually set up everything, we started cooking. So my buddy Paul, he was in his tent. Me and Taylor chopping wood, getting the fire going, and then we just started cooking. Like threw some steaks down, had a couple Mountain Dews. It was a good time.
Right.
And then after that, it was pushing about like 11:30, and then Paul was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go in the tent and crash out." He was going through some stuff. I'm like, "Hey man, go ahead, bro." He's like, "I'll be here. Call me if you need me." I'm like, "All right, cool." So he goes in his tent, chills out. And me and Taylor are just talking, and then it starts to sprinkle a little bit. And then we're in the middle of like this, I'll say holler.
Yeah, no.
Holler.
Yes.
So we have a mountain range on this side, mountain range on that side, mountain range on that side, and it's leading down to us, right?
Yep.
So next thing I know, it hits 12 o'clock, and we're just chit-chatting, stoking the fire. I start hearing above me on the north, up on top of that ridge up there, I start hearing trees snapping, rocks rolling, and I start hearing something moving through the brush. And this was in November, mind you, to where all the leaves have fallen.
Yeah.
Everything's dry, whatnot, and dead. So it's very easy to hear something. So my buddy T's like, "What the hell? We got someone scoping us out or what? Who is that?" And I was like, "I don't know, man." In my head, I knew. I was like, something's coming over here to scope us out, smells the food, hears us, whatnot. So all part of my plan. So it comes up, and then about like a good 100 yards out, we hear something crunching on this dirt path, and then we hear the leaves start rustling again, and it stops. And next thing I know, behind us, we hear something running through the leaves.
Yeah.
And stops. Taylor turns and is like, "What the heck is that?" So he goes in his tent, throws his chest rig on, puts on his AR. I throw my chest rig on, put on my AR. Paul pokes his head out. He's like, "Hey man, do we got contact?" I was like, "I think so." He's like, "Okay." So he just kind of chills out, gets in a prone position, just waits in his tent, just chilling out, waiting. And then I don't hear anything. And next thing we know, it starts to rain, right? Fire's starting to go down.
Yeah. That's Mountain City, man. Plus, I can tell you, man, it was probably getting cold.
It was, man. It was pushing about a good 35
yeah, man. Mountain City
degrees,
and it is so dark, man. Mountain City is dark,
it's
man.
Dark, bro.
It's so dark, bro.
Man.
Yeah. Bro, I'm seeing it in my head, man. Go ahead, man. Yeah, I'm there with you, man. I'm seeing this, man. I'm feeling it, man. Yeah, it's so dark.
After this is done, I'll send you the photos, man.
Yeah.
So after that, it starts to rain. We're just kind of just like keeping an eye on, just listening. The freaking perimeter alarm starts going off on the east side. Turn our weapons, look. Well, I have to go back there to reset it, right?
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, Paul, you good?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm good." So Taylor's like, "What is that? What is that?" I'm like, "Dude, just shut up and let's just go." And he's like, well, he's kind of starting to panic a little bit. Like, I don't believe this is happening. I'm like, "Well, it's happening, man."
Yeah.
So we go over there, set up the perimeter alarm. Well, the northern perimeter alarm starts going off.
Yeah.
And it just keeps doing that. And we hear these things running around us, like, and these things are just breaking twigs, running, stopping.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, we're just feeling pebbles getting thrown at us.
Yeah.
And my buddy Taylor kind of like, "This is not freaking happening. This is what is this?" And he yells at him, "Get up here, nothing. These things keep running.
They ain't going nowhere.
And next thing you know, these perimeter alarms keep going off. We keep resetting them. And then after that, it gets a little quiet. And this is pushing like 1 a.m. now.
Yeah.
So right after that, it's just quiet. Next thing we know, all the alarms go off. East, west, north, south, all that. And I'm kind of wigging out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, geez, here we freaking go. So as that's going on, we're hearing this rustling. We're hearing these branches breaking. And the alarms are going off. I said, you know what? Screw this. I just start, I pick a tree.
Yeah.
I just start firing at that tree.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. I hit like 5 shots off.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Next thing I know, I hear these things running like that. I look at Taylor. He's got his weapon up. I see tears coming down his eyes.
Dang, bro. Oh, man.
I was like, dude, you okay? And he's like,
stay
I'm
with
having
me.
a panic attack. I'm having a panic attack
Stay
right
with
now.
me,
I was
dog.
like, I know, man. Hold on, man. Just
stay
hold
with
on.
me.
You know?
Stay with me, man. Don't run. Don't run.
I cannot have you panic right now.
Yeah, right.
So after that, it kind of dies down. He's like, okay, man, this is too much. I'm going to go in my tent. I'm like, it's cool, man. You know, I'll stay up. So I kind of back in my tent, prone out. I got my night vision on. The fire's already out, right?
Yeah.
I hear Paul snoring his butt off.
Right.
And then I hear Taylor sleeping. I just got my nods on with my AR and I'm just listening. And I'm hearing these things just walking.
Yeah.
Stopping, walking, stopping. A couple branches break. And then I'm sitting there for about a good half an hour. And then I kind of start to doze off a little bit. Next thing I know, I hear to my left, which is Taylor's tent, I hear something going bleh, like that. Well, I peek my head out, like, what the freak is that? It's Taylor throwing up.
Oh, man, yeah.
Next thing I know, I hear all these alarms go off on his side. Yeah. And he's like throwing up. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I get up, and all his alarms are going off. So I kind of push him to the side, and I just start firing in that direction. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And then next thing I know, the perimeter alarm on his left side goes off. So I was like, Taylor, you good? He's like, as he's throwing up, his rifle's up. He's like, I'm good. And he starts firing too at this tree, randomly at this tree, just to kind of scare whatever it was off. So then I'm like, follow me. So we go, and then Paul's sleeping the whole time. Dude, this guy can sleep through a war, man. I'm telling you. And so I was like, this guy, we're gonna have some words after this is done. So I'm yelling at him, Paul, get up, Paul. And he's just like. So after that, we go upstairs to the alarm. I was like, dude, are you okay? What's going on? Like, is this something you ate? He's like, no, dude, here's the deal. I was like, we all ate the same thing. How do you guys feel? Like, I feel good. He's like, I don't know what it was. He's like, I'm in my tent. I hear a from the back of me. Next thing I know, I get dizzy.
Yeah.
I come out of my tent. I just start throwing up. I was like, dude, that's freaking infrasound you got hit with.
Yo, it's funny too.
Is what it was.
Pause that right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give some context on that, man. I got to catch my breath on this story. It's so amazing, too.
Go ahead.
Chuck Larson had the exact same thing happen to him on this road in New Jersey called Clinton Road, where he was driving. And this road is so notorious, it actually made the History Channel about one of the most freakiest roads in the planet. It's up in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
He got nauseous and dizzy and had to pull over and throw up to get calmed down. So that actually happens. Number two, if you've never been to Mountain City, there's a really good Mexican restaurant there if you ever drive through it. And they've got maybe, and I'm not an exaggeration when I say this, maybe 8 streetlights. There's maybe 8 streetlights in Mountain City. And another thing that I tell people, it gets very cold there. And it's called Mountain City for a reason. It's like in the middle like of the mountains. And you guys letting off those shots, people would probably be like, oh, that wouldn't happen. That's not alarming anyone in the South. I took my wife, I'm easing her into camping, right? And I took her last July to her first semi off the grid camping thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not full, we weren't fully out there, but we were pretty, it was one of these places that was like, hey, look, it's pretty rough, but it's, it's not terrible. At about 3:00 in the morning, she starts hearing coyotes for the first time. And I could tell the coyotes just from how they're several miles off in that direction, right? And she's like, what's that noise? I'm like, that's just coyotes. And she was like, is that going to be all night? That's scaring me. I'm like, it's possible or whatever. And about that time you hear, pow, 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 pow. And then you don't hear any more coyotes. She's like, what was that? And I was like, well, that was a farmer killing probably 3 or 4 coyotes or 2 coyotes.
Yeah.
Right? And no one's calling the cops on that. No one's coming to investigate some popping going off in the middle of the night, especially in those rural areas, man. So people thinking like, hey, if I'm out there and I'm going to let off some shots, some people are going to come help me. No one's coming. You understand, right? So they're not even going to get out of bed hearing shots.
Yeah, you're on your own.
You're on your own, right? So yeah, all right, Drew. Yeah, go ahead. So your buddy, man, you
yeah.
really
So after that,
you just fit him. You just brought. You know what, man? We're not easing into this, right, man? We're going. You're in. This is your first hunt. You're in.
You're in, right? Yeah. So he basically got the whole thrown in the wolves action thing going on. So yeah. So after that, I set up the perimeters. I laid off some shots. He laid off some shots, and then after that, I was pushing like 3 a.m. So everything kind of seemed to calm down a little bit. So he went back to bed. I stood up the whole time.
Yeah.
I got the fire going, stood up, chilled out, and checked on Paul. He was good to go. And then, so after that, like the sun started to come up, and then I woke up T. I was like, hey man, let's go do like recon. Let's just go check like our surroundings to see if we see anything, like any broken branches, any like pathways, footprints, stuff like that. He's like, okay, cool. So we get up, and then after that, I get on the walkie-talkie and I wake up Paul. I was like, hey, since you slept on us, I need you to start making breakfast.
Yeah.
While we're out here checking out some stuff. He's like, all right, man, I'm on it. So he starts cooking breakfast. So me and T start walking out about a good mile, and we see literally, it looks like a 4-wheeler path on one side of a mountain coming down. And then because like I said, we're actually in this holler, right?
Yeah.
So it's going up. It looks like this 4-wheeler was crashing through, branches breaking, leaves or foliage are out of the way, and everything's laid down. Then to the right of us on this side, same thing. To the north of us, same thing, but it's kind of like zigzagging. So then we walk towards the south, it just kind of plateaus off, and then it goes up again. And as it goes up, we actually reach to the top of that plateau, just mountains as far as we can see, dude. We're like, holy crap, man.
Yeah.
This is beautiful, but this is crazy as hell.
Yeah.
And that's when I got like my first whiff of like, dude, the Appalachians are insane, dude.
Insane. No, it's like, it's almost, man, like, you can describe it, right? But
it's almost like majestic, man.
It is, man. So I several years ago, I did a hike somewhere. There was a park. I want to say that was in Irwin, Tennessee. I can't remember what it is, man. But like, we went to the very, 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 very top, and I have the picture somewhere. And if you stood in this one spot and you looked to the left, if you just did a 360, you could see 4 states. And it was just nothing. You could see North Carolina, Tennessee. I think the other one was, I want to say Virginia. And I want to say, if you looked in a certain direction, you could see Georgia, right? Like, and it was just miles upon miles upon miles of nothing but just trees, right? And
green, yeah.
So when I tell people, they're like, oh, these things don't exist. I'm like, man, not only do they exist, but there are people you don't even know about who are living out there who haven't had contact with anybody for, I can't even tell you like how long it's been going on to it, man. But dang, bro. Yeah. Man, that is
so anyways, so that was
awesome
that
story.
So after that, he's like, dude, I'm in, man. So he started to do his own research too. But what was actually cool about T is that T's actually like a long range shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He's at competitions and stuff like that. So he's basically like our Overwatch now.
Yeah.
And he deals with like comms and communications because he's a geek like that. He knows all that stuff. So, go for T. But and then the next one we had, this is where I actually got to meet Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress. We actually got called out because this woman, I forgot what city it's in, but it's about an hour away from Nashville. So she actually got a hold of me because she heard the podcast. She kind of heard a little bit about like what I did, and at that time, this was like about 2 years ago. I finally had like my whole team are already good to go,
right?
And she was having problems with her chickens getting stolen, things ramming into her cabin, things coming out of this cave. her cameras were getting turned. That way, whatever it was can steal her chickens and eat them, right?
Right.
So basically, in a nutshell, this girl named Farah moves to this property. There's a cave about a good 20 feet away from her house.
Yeah.
Okay. So what she did was, when she moved there, she put like a tobacco offering in front of that cave, right?
Mistake.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So at this time, I didn't know anything about skinwalkers, right?
Yep.
So she's telling me what's going on. I'm like, okay, this is weird. This almost sounds like a skinwalker thing. So I didn't know anything about that. So I hit up Jessica Jones because I know she kind of dabbles into that stuff. So
Yeah.
I was getting intel from her, and she got her information from one of her Indian buddies. His name is William Nighthawk is what he is, but he lives up north, kind of like basically on almost like kind of like where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
But his basically in a nutshell, his family dealt with like the dark arts. And then as he got older, his mom helped him convert to the good side, right?
Right.
So that's his bread and butter is skinwalkers and like the whole majestic and all that stuff. So he was giving us intel on how to combat these things, how to deal with them, stuff like that. And then he looked up a lot of information on that specific area, on what the First Nations people did in that area. So it turns out that there was a proxy war, I guess, going on between these three tribes in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But what it found out was that there was these three rogue medicine men that were skinwalkers at the time, right? So they were feuding with these three different tribes. Well, these three different tribes got their best warriors and their best medicine men, and they tracked these three medicine skinwalker guys into this cave, right?
Yeah.
Well, as they were fighting them, shooting arrows at them, they got damaged. They backed up into this cave, and they're I guess they're good guys. They're good medicine man. Put a hex on this cave. Well, I guess the only way to break that open is that if someone puts a sacrifice at the entrance of that cave. So as soon as she did that, everything started, going ham. She started to see shadow people. She started to see poltergeists in her house.
Yep.
She started to, see Bigfoot run across her freaking land.
Yep.
Things were slamming into her house as her and her husband were sleeping. They felt their bed shaking. It almost sounds like a train was going underneath their house.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was basically just nuts. So she called us out there as a cryptid team to investigate. And then she called Jessica Jones out there to be like a mediator, and then a couple other people to do like a paranormal stuff. So, so when we went out there, me and my guys were dealing with the whole cryptid side of it, running to Dogman, anything like that. And then, so we basically brought everything from A to Z that we could. We brought out quads, four-wheelers, drones, night vision, weapons, all that stuff. And, and then we did a lot of, we actually brought like 350 foot of rope. We're actually in there caving, basically we just we went as far as we can go, and then we just ran out of rope, and then we had to come back. So yeah, it was a good, interesting 2 days.
Yeah. I tell you, man. So like, I to give some people again. So I've met so many people who are like, hey, I'm going to, I'm moving out of the city, and I'm going down. So Tennessee's beautiful. I'm going here. I'm going there. I very rarely use the verbiage I'm about to use. I very rarely will call somebody, hey, you're stupid. I very rarely will say that to somebody. But I will tell people this, man. I have on several occasions referred to people that I don't know if these people that go to these mystic shops and like, I'm going to get this crystal and I'm going to get this and I'm going to do that.
Yep. Charged objects. Yeah.
You are a baby playing with a chainsaw. You have no idea what you're doing. Never, ever gift these things anything, period. Matter of fact, if you grew up in the Appalachians, you are told if whatever when you're out and about, my God, man, this is part of basically your rite of passage as an adult growing up, where I did. If you hear something in the woods, no, you didn't. You understand?
You didn't hear it. Yeah.
You didn't hear nothing. If you hear somebody calling your name loudly, they're actually
Close.
yeah. If you hear them whispering your name or whatever, man, you don't turn. You don't acknowledge. You don't. If you hear bells jingling, another thing too, man. If you see shoes in the woods tied up on a tree, that is to get you to look left because something is on your right, right? So and when man, I tell you what, man, I've heard so many stories about people going down there like, oh, I'm just going to put a crystal on my window. Okay, stupid. Have fun with that. And that's what I say, right? Because you think that's pushing these things away. It's not. You're opening up. You're acknowledging their existence, right? And that's the biggest thing, man. That you have to, if you ignore Native American lore, you do it at your own peril. If they're telling you that mountain in Cherokee is called Onkanok, and Onkanok means mountain of death, and you go climb it and expect to die. They didn't just randomly call that a mountain of death for like no reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, skinwalkers, bro, that's my Achilles heel, man. And I've had several conversations about it, man. That's right on that edge. Number one, they're hard. They're incredibly hard. From the videos I've seen, the research I've seen, the firsthand encounters I've seen, the stories I've heard, especially from the Navajos, they're hard to deal with. They're hard to make to go away, right? And you can't kill them. And Drew, that's my line in the sand, man. Like if I was in that circle with you guys and we were getting circled, all right, come into the light, and I'm going to show you what the big light looks like in the sky, right? Come into that light, right? If it bleeds, you got a chance.
Kill it.
You got a chance,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, like, I would never just plug a Bigfoot for no reason, right?
Exactly.
But I've never heard of a nice dogman. I've never heard of a story about a dogman being nice, being friendly. All I've heard is that they want to eat your face, and you feel it before they show up. How they hate you, they want to eat your face, right? Same way with the skinwalker, man. I've never heard anything, chill about skinwalkers. Like, hey, and so offering a tobacco offering to I mean, that's just, come on, man. Where did you read that? On like some $2 book you bought at the witchcraft store saying, hey, make peace with the fairies in your yard? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, man. You can be out there with the Old Testament slapping that rocks. You know what I'm saying? You be out there reading some scriptures over that bad boy to keep them out, man. But wow.
Yeah, there's one thing I am very proud of my guys. We're on my team is that we're all Christian, right?
Yeah.
We all go to the same church or whatnot, and that's one thing we do every time before we go out on a hunt, especially like that Skinwalker one, because I was more concerned about the Bigfoot. I was more concerned about the Dogman issue she was dealing with. Skinwalker was out of my league, but ever since going on this, I gathered a lot of information and I know how to deal with them now. But as far as that, I was talking to one of my guys on the intel part of how to deal with those things we come across them. So we basically got all our ammo, we got anointing oil, we prayed over everything, and we got our certain items. We prayed over it and we anointed it, and then we got all our guys. We basically anointed it, prayed over it. We actually did a little bit of prayer and fasting for about like a week prior before we even got there, and then when we got there, we actually prayed over the whole area and stuff like that. So, and then as far as me and my guys, like it was actually a good turnout. Like it was great. Like we didn't have nothing follow us back home, and not only that, like after right before we left, we actually prayed again. And then we prayed with the people that were actually living there before we left. But as far as that, we actually found some footprints. I'll send you those pictures of it too. So those footprints led out of the cave, and then we tracked it all the way to the other side of like this mountain, basically, right? So we were tracking it in the middle of the night, and as we were going, we went about a good 3.5 miles deep in the woods. We ran into this old abandoned barn, right? And then we passed that because the prints kept going.
Yeah.
And then we went to go another mile up, and we found this old 3-tier barn, right? Where the tracks led into. So there's a video I'll send you. Basically, like, okay, something's in here. So I basically had two of my guys, I put one on one corner and one on the opposite corner. That way they can see both sides, right? If anything comes out.
Right.
So me and the other guys, we went in and we cleared it out. Well, the back of that barn door was busted out and the tracks went out of it. So we tracked it into this cave.
Yep.
This cave, though, what sucked about it wasn't a walk-in cave,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
We literally had to tie off a rope
No.
and we had to rappel 200 feet down.
Yeah.
So we did that, and I got video on that too. So as we're going through this cave, we ran into a dead end, buckle back,
Yeah.
go to this other area, and then this is where I run into a crawler, like a shadow creature, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a crawler. So one of the things they said you're not supposed to do if you deal with the skinwalker or deal with the crawlers, you don't whistle.
Yeah.
Like it says in the Appalachians, like you don't whistle when you're out hiking because it will attract whatever to you.
Yeah.
Well, we go to this bottleneck to where the walls get smaller and smaller, and it's just tight enough to where it's just a one person, right? So we're stacked up like that. And I see this head poke out like that and duck back in. I was like, whoa, hold on. So I pull my pistol out and I go, and it pokes his head out again and goes like that. And I was like, oh, we're out. And then my buddy Taylor goes, did you happen to see that? I haven't saw that. And I was like, okay, we're backing out. We're backing out. So at the same time as we're backing out, I'm worrying about one of my buddies up on top because he's up there. Juice that's his name is Juice. Yeah. He's up on top, making sure that no one cuts that rope, man.
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah, no doubt, man.
So by the time all the guys are going up, I'm like the last guy out. I'm making sure all my boys are good to go.
Right.
So as I'm going out, I got my pistol drawn out and I'm just climbing. I'm like, pull me up. And as we're pulling up, I'm just feeling this, like someone's going to grab my leg, Joe.
Yeah, right. Right.
So as my pistol's drawn, someone's going to grab my leg. So nothing happened, thank God. And then, so then we finally got out and then we basically drove all the way back, hiked our way back to her property. And, we basically just camped out again that night. And then my buddy Taylor was just on his 338 Lapua with freaking night vision, just watching that entrance to that cave the whole night as we were sleeping. So, he was basically taking fire watch. So other than that, after we left, it actually picked up. Mm-hmm. And because she started tinkering around with like spirit boxes and stuff like that. Yeah. So basically what we did was it was good. And then she totally kind of canceled everything out when she started basically tinkering around with stuff she shouldn't have again. And it picked up and then they actually had to move out, man. Yeah. It got so bad.
No, I believe it. No,
she moved out.
Yeah, absolutely believe it. Again, you're playing with things that you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what you have no idea what you're doing, right? And you're opening the thing I don't grasp, man, right? I know there's curiosity in there. It's things I don't grasp. If you don't know how to close a box, why would you open it? Right? Why would you open it? You don't know how, so yeah, you don't know how to close it. Now you're in trouble, right? So
yeah.
Anyways.
So with that, so basically before we left, I was like, look, as far as the paranormal, I'm going to tell you how to deal with it scripturally and with Jesus and stuff. But as far as cryptids, I'm going to tell you how to deal with that too after we leave. You're going to need to get cayenne pepper. You need to hit your whole house with it on the ledges of your window sills and all that. We'll pray over your house. We actually put anointing oil above everything. And we made some like, people are going to hate me for this, but we basically made some like almost kind of like traps, I guess, at the entrances of, not the entrances, but at the foot of her windows because she's seen things poking up and looking in her windows. So we basically put 2x4s down with nails right in front right there. If something steps, it'll screw them up. Yeah. So we basically did like as much as we could. And we just told her, just be careful when you go out there. And then the whole time after that, she said her chickens kept going missing again as usual. But I told her just to get cameras and just focus it on the entrance of the cave, focus it on her chickens, and have one far back at her shed focused on the house. Well, what was crazy is she sent me some camera footage to where the camera at her house, focusing on her house, was starting to get turned. And then it turned to dirt, like pointing down at the dirt.
Right.
And then her next camera that was pointing at the chicken coop got turned up. And then the next camera that was pointing at the cave unplugged. And next thing you know, all her chickens were gone.
Yeah, so nah.
It's like, what the frick, dude? Yeah, so I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Back to Jersey. Back to
Yeah.
back to the Bronx, man. Yeah, no doubt, man. Wow, Drew. Great stories, man. I could talk to you again, man, for freaking hours, man. So yeah, so real quick, man, tell everybody again where they can find you, brother. All your sites real fast.
Yeah, guys. You can find me on Instagram, Cryptid Warfare, and then you can find me on Facebook. It's under Andrew Drewski, but it's Cryptid Warfare as well. And then if you guys have any encounters or anything like that, you guys want to talk, you guys need any prayer requests or anything like that, hit me up at cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. That's cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. Yep. And also, if you guys are you guys need any advice or you guys need any help or anything like that when it comes to cryptids, I should say, harassing or anything like that, just shoot me an email over at c.wopps@protonmail.com or hit me up at c.operations17905@gmail.com.
All that'll
see
be
what we can do.
Yeah, we'll get that all in the description for you too. Man, great episode, Drew. Great episode, man. It's good talking to you. So, Enigmites, if you stuck around this long, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down there about any of the cryptid encounters that you had. If you hit the link in our bio, you can find us all over the place. We're everywhere. So, man, Drew, good one, man. Good one, man. Good one. So, got to have you back on, all right? You got to agree to come back, all right? Tell us some more stories on that. And also, too, man, real quick, Drew was actually in the process of starting up a business where if you don't know anything about the woods and you would like to go on a cryptid hunt with Drew and his boys, all you got to do is, Drew, tell me about it. All you got to do is show up and you guys keep them safe, right?
Yeah, so basically all you guys got to do is just show up with the clothes I basically suggest you guys should wear.
Right.
And you guys don't worry about anything after that. We'll actually provide you the backpack, the food, the security, the water, and we'll try to have a good time, and just teach you guys a little bit about bushcraft a little bit, and just help you guys have a good time, and hopefully you guys can experience the Sasquatch or whatnot.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then we'll provide security and get you in, get you out.
Yeah, exactly, man. So when more details come out, we'll put that out. But I'm going to send Sasquatch Steve down there to get him some time in the bush, man. Teach him a little bit of close quarter stuff like that. Amazing. All right. Till next time, nerds. We're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.